Hey, this is Zach with PRP Seats, here today to show you how to install our seat covers onto the new Ford Broncos. Our seat covers bring a whole new look and feel to your interior with pre-designed colors, or you can make it yours and design your own with over 60 different custom colors and materials to choose from. So let's get started. Today we're going to do this install on a 4-door on the fronts and rear. Installation for the 2-door Bronco is mostly the same. So starting off here with the front seats, you can install the covers on the top and bottom with the seat still installed, but it is kind of difficult just to get in there and just for movement sake. So we actually recommend removing the seat out of the vehicle to get the covers on. First steps to do that is slide your seat back. You're gonna see two little plastic covers up here that hold the bolt that holds the seat down to the body. Use a flathead screwdriver to pop off these two plastic covers. Then use a 1/2-inch socket to remove both front bolts. Underneath the seat, there's a plastic wiring harness underneath that you need to undo to be able to get the seat all the way out. On the bottom side of it, you can see there's a red little clip on there. Use your finger or a screwdriver to pop that all the way out so it's completely removed. Once you've removed that red plastic clip, you can push with your thumb right where it was and then pull that off. Then slide the seat forward, go on the back and use that 1/2-inch socket to remove the two bolts in the rear. Then you can carefully pull the seat out. On the back of the seat, you'll see these two elastic bands right here that hold that back flap on the stock cover. One side, it's really easy just to remove and pull that off. The other side though, you see there's this yellow wiring harness that kind of gets in the way and makes it difficult. You just need to pop that wiring harness off, undo the strap, and pop that harness back on. Once you're done with that, flip the seat back up, and you can pull that flap up on the back side. Next up, grab your PRP front covers. Make sure you have the correct side if you're on the driver or passenger. On all of our covers, we have this big cutout slit that goes where the airbag is on the outside, the side facing the door. So just make sure you grab the correct one when you're getting them. First step, take off the headrest. Next, take your top cover, slide it over the top, and then start working it down. Work the material around so it's sitting correctly on the seat. On the top of the cover, we have two hole cutouts for the headrest slots. So kind of grab that cover, push it around one corner, then go to another corner and just kind of work it around in a circle like that until the cover sits flush underneath that plastic. Take this flap in the front and push it through the center of the seat. Then on the back side, lift up the flaps. You're gonna find these pieces and pull them all the way through. Make sure that the wiring harness right here goes in between these two pieces. Make sure the cover's pulled down tight, especially in here in the corners. We have these little carpet pieces. Try to tuck those kind of underneath and around the plastic so they sit nice and flush. After you feel you have everything nicely set up on the front and everything seems like it's fitting pretty well, you're gonna go on the back here. You're gonna take this OEM cover, kind of flip it up and underneath our PRP cover. And then you see you obviously have the two Velcro straps right here on either side. It's really important if you want a really tight fit for your cover to get these Velcro straps as tight as possible. So one trick we like to use a pair of wide nose flat pliers to be able to pull really tight on these to get them to fit really nice. Once you have it pretty tight, you're gonna pull it and attach it to the Velcro pieces on the other side. Last step is to tuck this airbag pocket in. Easiest way to do it, we have this mesh that goes over the front of the seat underneath and kind of holds it in place. So start at the top, use your fingers, just kind of tuck that mesh in and over so it sits flat underneath the cover. And then just kind of work your way down as you go. Next up, we're gonna install the bottom cover. Just like the top cover, make sure you have the correct driver or passenger side when you install. So the way to know that is in the front of the seat and the inside next to the center console, the cover is gonna have this band right here where this drawstring goes through. Then on the outside of the cover, next to this plastic piece, it's just gonna be a regular type, like piece of vinyl or whatever right here that you're gonna tuck underneath that plastic. So throw it over the top and start moving it into place. Then take this back flap and push it through the center of the seat. You're gonna have these two little carpet flaps in the corners. You're gonna kind of push and tuck down in between the plastic and the seat. Then go on the back side and pull this back flap all the way through. Same thing as the front. You can use wide nose pliers to make this a little bit easier. Go around the front, check all the corners, make sure everything's pulled down nice and tight. Then by the plastic trim right here, you're just gonna take your fingers and kind of push that cover underneath so it sits nice and flush. Next up, take that drawstring and wrap it behind the seatbelt mount right here and put it through this first little ribbon right here. Then on the side with the plastic, we're gonna take this drawstring and kind of feed it underneath here, around that kind of slider bar, around that adjustment bar right here, up around this adjustment bar right here, so it pulls through nice, and then back up to the first ribbon up top. Next up, you're gonna take that string, feed it through the last one, and then put it through the loop end on the other end of the drawstring. Pull it tight, pull it over so both sides are tight. Then I always like to go do one last pull on this flap back here, just make sure everything is really, really tight. Like I said before, the tighter you can get this cover, the tighter you can pull it down on all the sides, the tighter it's gonna be on the bottom and the less wrinkles you're gonna have. Then use a pair of flat nose pliers and you can pull really hard on this drawstring and get it really tight. Then use those pliers again and kind of hold that knot in place while you tie it. Once you're done, you can either cut the excess or just tuck it back underneath. So go again on the front side, double check everything, make sure everything's sitting in place and everything's tight like you want it. You may have some little wrinkles or little divots like this on the sides or in the middle. Over time, those should go away as you sit in the seat and the material stretches out, or the first time it really gets hot in the sun and the material expands. But same thing, go around, adjust it as needed, and if you need to go in the back and retighten that drawstring again, go ahead and do that. On the headrest, make sure that the logo is facing forward and the rubber patch is on the back side. Then slide the headrest cover over the headrest, attach the two side Velcro pieces first, then attach the front and back Velcro pieces. Once it's on, look at the logo, make sure everything's even, and move it around anywhere you need so everything looks good. And last step is to put the headrest back on. All right, before we put the front seats back in, we're actually gonna install the rear covers. Gives us a lot more space up in front to get in there and work around. On the rear bench, keep them installed, keep the bench in there. It's a lot easier to work around with it because that bench is really big and kind of a pain in the butt if you're trying to pull it out. So, let's get started. On this 4-door model, you can see we have a 60 section and a 40 section on the rear bench. On the 2-door model, you're gonna have a split 50-50 across on either side. Install instructions are gonna be pretty much the same on the 2-door and the 4-door. So, first step is gonna be to remove all the headrests. And if you need to, you can angle the seat forward to be able to get it off all the way. Important step while you're putting the cover on is to take this seat belt, lay it all the way out, and put this cover kind of underneath it, under the bottom side of it, and then put up so the seat belt goes on the front side of the cover. Just like on the front seat, we're gonna have these little cutouts for the headrest slots. Start on one side, pull it around one corner, around another corner, and then just keep working it around until you get it to pop underneath. Take that center flap, push it through the center of the seat and underneath. The angle of the bench makes it a little bit easier to get down. Then on either side, you're gonna have these 2 flaps kind of coming out on the sides. You're gonna tuck those kind of underneath the plastic and around behind it. Take these other flaps, kind of tuck them around the back side and around this whole plastic piece. Then we have these felt strips on here that are kind of holding it in place and stopping it from sticking. Once you have everything set, you're gonna remove these and stick them all together. On the back side, you're gonna take this zipper, feed it back into itself, and then zip it all the way down the edge. Most of these gotta kind of pull tight and pull tight on either side as you do it. On the bottom, you're gonna have this little tail here. Just kind of tuck it underneath, and we're gonna hide that underneath when we attach the Velcro. As you can see, the cutout squares are all kind of funky and not exactly lined up here. Depending on your cover and how tight you get it on the sides, they may not always line up perfectly, but we at least want to get them as close as we can so we can actually access these child seat anchor points. Once you have these pulled pretty tight and everything seems like it's fitting pretty well on top, you're gonna pull off these little protective strips from the Velcro, pull tight on the bottom flap and connect them together. On either side and in the center right here, there's a metal child anchor that you use for car seats when you're trying to install them. We made our flap just a little bit shorter than either side, so it should be fine on these outside ones. And in the center right here, we have this little opening for that car seat anchor to feed through as you wrap it underneath the seat. On either side of the bench, we're gonna have a couple different flaps that are meant to kind of wrap around and underneath this plastic arm right here. So take this big side flap, wrap it under, kind of take it and pull it up, back over here so it's on the back side. And then they take these pieces, kind of undo them and tuck them under around the top. Tuck them under and around the top and then connect it back to itself. So the cover makes that curve around the arm. Once you have those 2 pieces pretty set in place, you're just gonna kind of tuck it underneath and attach it to the cover. Then on the back side, go through and pull this cover down as tight as you can. And then on this flap on the bottom, pull it through, kind of like on the front seats. Use a pair of wide nose pliers makes it really easy to get a good grip and to be able to pull that cover tight. Now comes the bottom side of the 60. Same thing, just make sure you have the correct cover. This one has the side and the center. Lay it over. And a real important step on here is you want to try to get this center piece on first, then get the front side on. It gives you a lot more leverage to be able to pull it over and get it tight that way. So kind of halfway open up the bench, kind of at an angle right here. Take either side of this and start to tuck it around and underneath that hump back here. So I'm trying to kind of get around the corners on here. I put my other hand just underneath the bottom side and just kind of grabbing that end of that piece and just pulling it under so it kind of clears all the way around and fits nice. Once you've got the back side mostly on, go around and start pulling on either corner to get those corners on. Then just go around the bottom side, kind of grab every corner, kind of like a bed sheet, start pulling it down so everything is tight around all the edges. Now we have the drawstring on either corner over here. It's always a little bit easier and nicer to tie it off down here right by the side of the car. So take the inside drawstring, feed it in between this plastic, closer to the seat, right here, and put it down. On the back side under here, we have a couple little loops you're gonna feed that string through. So the easiest way to kind of get to them, just put it all down right there, is either from the side down here and feed it through, or like I said, if you have the front seats out, it makes it really easy to get down here from the front and feed that drawstring through those loops all the way to get over here in the corner. Once you've got it through all the loops in the back, take that string, run it around the back side of this arm, and then feed it through the loop on here. Just like before, you want to get this drawstring really tight so it sucks down this cover onto the seat and you don't have any wrinkles or movement on it. It's really easy and fast to do this with a pair of wide nose pliers, and it saves your fingers too. Once you're set, once you got it real tight, you can take those pliers and hold that string in place too while you tie it off. Then with the end of that string, you can either cut it off or take the end and just kind of tuck it up underneath the cover and out of the way. On the 40 side, you're gonna follow basically the same exact instructions for the bottom cover and the top cover. Once you have all the covers on the rear, last step is just to do headrests. One, make sure you have the correct side cover, so the button is facing the same side on the cover as it is on the headrest. Logos in front, rubber labels in back. Then, just undo the Velcro, slip it over the top. Make sure you get around the corners on each side. Then, connect those two Velcro strips on the bottom and front. On the side, we have this cutout for the button right here. So, start on one side, pull all that material over so it sits flush underneath the button. And then as you get it underneath, just move it around so it looks nice. Back on the front side, just do a last minute check, make sure the logos are kind of even, they're not off and kind of weird on there. So you can just move that material around as you need until they look good. On the center headrest, same thing, just make sure the cover is fitting on the right direction. Start it kind of underneath and pull the cover back and over the top. All right, once you have the cover mostly on, just kind of tuck in these flaps on either side and then connect the Velcro in the center. Just like the other one, move it around as needed just to get it kind of in place and make sure everything's tight. Then just put the headrest back on. Now you can go ahead and put the front seats back in. On the front of the seat, there's two little pins on either side. You just need to make sure you get those set in the holes, and then you should be good. Now you can go ahead and reconnect that wiring harness on the bottom and make sure to set that little red plastic pin back in. Go ahead and reinsert the bolts and tighten them down with a 1/2 inch socket. Then just put the plastic covers back on the front. And that's it. If you have any questions or issues that pop up, feel free to contact your local authorized dealer, or you can reach us at prpseats.com.